When drums change rhythm, the dancers must learn new steps. A public political clash inside ODM party is now exposing deeper tensions over leadership, legacy, and the future direction of one of the Kenya's most influential political movements. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has sharply responded to criticism from Winnie Odinga, intensifying a growing debate over power, succession, and also authority after the death of Raila Odinga. The disagreement erupted publicly after Winnie Odinga criticized the government leaders over their handling of Kenya's economy and accused some officials of speaking to citizens with arrogance instead of addressing the country's economic struggles. Just one day later, the Treasury CS John Mbadi has responded, forcefully attacking Winnie Odinga. Speaking on Saturday, May 16, 2026, Mbadi defended his political record, his loyalty to the late Raila Odinga, and his place within the ODM party leadership. He also dismissed criticism from younger leaders, arguing that the leadership is earned through elections, service, and also political experience. Watch this.
Niliona watu wengine they are trying to advise me how to be a minister for finance. You can't. You have no capacity to advise me. I have been chairman of ODM under Raila Odinga for 10 years. It's not a mean achievement. I have been minority leader for 5 years. It's not a mean achievement. I am now minister for 2 years. It's not a mean achievement. I was assistant minister in the office of the prime minister. It's not a mean achievement. You can't come from nowhere to start advising me. First, seek an elective position. Be elected.
The exchange is now drawing national attention because it goes beyond a personal disagreement, and it has exposed growing divisions inside the Orange Democratic Movement over succession, authority, and the future of the party following the death of its long-time leader. The latest confrontation began after Winnie Odinga addressed mourners during a funeral in Kisii County on Friday, May 15th. Without directly naming Mbadi, the Yala member of parliament criticized economic leadership inside ODM and warned against turning nation institutions into personal political platforms. Her remarks focused heavily on the struggles many Kenyans continue to face. She pointed to the rising fuel prices, high unemployment, growing public debt, and also an increasing cost of farming inputs. And according to Winnie, leaders should spend less time speaking harshly to the public and more time addressing the economic pressures facing ordinary citizens. The comments came at a sensitive political moment, and for months pressure has been building within ODM over how the party should move forward after the death of Raila Odinga in October 2025. Watch this.
It's why viongozi vya uchumi need to focus on the things that matter in this economy. To finish, the National Treasury is not a political office. The National Treasury of the Republic of Kenya is not a personal office. The National Treasury of the economy of the largest economy in East and Central Africa is not a platform for you to abuse us and talk to us however you want. That is where we carry our economy. Kazi ya hiyo ofisi, unajua kazi ya hiyo ofisi ni kulinda how would you say it? Ni kulinda thamani ya pesa ya wananchi. Who said wajaluo wajui Swahili? Umesikia? That is the work of that office. And therefore, as public servants, I think we need to take a little step in how we treat each other, how we talk to people. We need to pay more attention to the people on the ground. We need to listen to them.
Raila's absence left a major political vacuum inside both the party and the large opposition movement. And while ODM leaders publicly continue to preach unity, internal disagreements have increasingly become visible, and John Mbadi's response on Saturday left little doubt about the seriousness of those tensions. The Treasury CS strongly defended this political journey and argued that his leadership credentials were built over decades of public service. and Mbadi said leadership cannot simply be inherited or claimed through proximity to power. Instead, he argued authority must be earned through elections, sacrifice, and long-term political commitment. The former ODM chairman highlighted his service in the years under Raila Odinga. He pointed to his decade-long role as the chairman of ODM and his years serving as the minority leader in parliament, and his current position in government as the Treasury Cabinet Secretary. For Mbadi, those achievements represented years of political struggle and loyalty, and his remarks also suggest frustration with what he described as immature politics inside the party. The Treasury CS insisted he could not be trusted or distracted by what he viewed as political attacks, lacking experience or electoral legitimacy. But beyond defending himself, Mbadi also made another important political statement. He openly signaled his own national ambitions, and during his address, Mbadi declared that he believes he is capable of leading the country in the future, including potentially seeking the presidency. And that declaration immediately added another layer to the growing debate inside ODM, because as a party navigates life after Raila Odinga, questions are already emerging about who could eventually rise to fill the enormous political space left behind. For decades, Raila dominated opposition politics in Kenya. He shaped ODM's identity. He controlled major political decisions, and for many supporters, remained the party's central unifying figure. Now, with his death still fresh in the public memory, ODM appears caught between preserving Raila's legacy and redefining its future leadership structure. The struggle became even clearer, and earlier this month during an ODM retreat in Mombasa, at that meeting Mbadi reportedly warned leaders against treating the party like family property. He argued that ODM belonged to its members and supporters, not to any single household or political dynasty. Those comments triggered criticism from sections of Odinga family and some party loyalists, and many interpreted the remarks as a direct challenge to the continued influence of the Odinga family inside ODM. The latest exchange with Winnie Odinga appears to have deepened those divisions further, and even somebody used a Saturday address to strongly reject suggestions that he had ever disrespected Raila Odinga. In fact, much of his speech focused on reaffirming his loyalty to the late opposition leader, and Mbadi described his political relationship with Raila as one built over decades. He recalled joining Raila's political movement as a young man in 1992, and at the time, Kenya was experiencing major political transformation as opposition politics gained momentum during the push for multi-party democracy. Mbadi said his journey alongside Raila was voluntary and also rooted in personal conviction, and he also credited Raila with shaping much of his political career. According to Mbadi, Raila rewarded loyalty and hard work with opportunities to serve, and over the years, those opportunities included senior leadership positions within ODM and the government. Mbadi openly acknowledged that without Raila Odinga, he would likely not be serving today as the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, and the speech also turned attention toward another influential figure inside the Odinga family. Mbadi defended the party's decision to rally behind Oburu Oginga following Raila's death. According to Mbadi, Oburu earned respect through years of standing beside his brother during politically difficult periods. He described Oburu as experienced, mentally sharp, and deeply trusted by Raila Odinga throughout his political life. Mbadi argued that honoring Oburu's role was important for maintaining unity inside the Luo political community. He also warned against attempts to divide the community during a politically sensitive transition period, and those comments reflected growing concerns among ODM leaders about internal fragmentation, because beyond personalities and public disagreements, the party now faces a difficult long-term challenge and how to remain united without the single figure who held it together for decades. Political observers say succession battles after the death of dominant leaders are often complicated, especially in parties where identity becomes closely tied to one personality. And in ODM's case, Raila Odinga was not only the party leader, he was also its symbol, chief campaigner, strategist, and the most recognizable national face. And therefore, replacing that influence may take years, and even Mbadi himself appeared to acknowledge that reality. During his remarks, the Treasury CS admitted that no one has yet stepped fully into Raila's shoes, and he said if such a leader eventually emerges, it will take time. At the center of the current conflict is also larger generational debate, and the younger leaders inside ODM increasingly want a greater voice in shaping the party's future. At the same time, senior figures argue that political leadership must be grounded in electoral legitimacy and also long-term experience. That tension is now becoming more public, and for supporters watching from across the country, the disagreement raises important questions about the future direction of the opposition movement. The exchange also comes during a difficult economic period for many Kenyans, and the high living costs remain a major national concern. Fuel prices continue to affect transport and also food costs, and the farmers are struggling with expensive agricultural inputs, and unemployment remains a major challenge for young people. Those economic pressures have made public statements from government leaders especially sensitive, and as the Treasury CS Mbadi remains one of the country's most visible economic officials, and that means his words carry political weight both inside government and within ODM. For Winnie Odinga, the focus appears to remain on protecting public trust and defending what he views as respectful leadership. For Mbadi, the issue appears tied to authority experience and also protecting the institutional future of ODM. Beyond the Odinga family name, but regardless of who is right or wrong politically, the public exchange has now revealed the difficult balancing act facing ODM, preserving Raila Odinga's legacy, managing generational transition, preventing internal divisions, and also preparing the party for the future without its long-time political anchor. And for now, what began as criticism over economic leadership has evolved into a much larger conversation about power, succession, identity, and also political legitimacy inside one of Kenya's most important political parties. In Kenyan politics, legacies do not disappear overnight, and as ODM searches for its future after Raila Odinga, the battle over who speaks for the party may ultimately shape not only its survival, but also the direction of opposition politics in the years ahead. And that is all for today from Kenya Lens Media, where we bring you news updates as they break. And kindly, if you are new here, consider subscribing.